Happyland is the name of an area in Manila, Philippines that has a meaning that contrasts with the life in it. Happyland, which literally means happy land, actually presents a great irony, a reality of life that is very far from the word happiness. Happyland is a blurry portrait framed in a narrow space with residents who seem to live piled up, squeezed in an environment that seems to reject comfort and health. In this place, the hardships of life are not only part of everyday life, but have become the breath they breathe in every stuffy room they inhabit. Tondo, where Happyland stands, is not only the largest district in the metropolis, but also the largest and worst slum in Manila, home to around 631,000 people, most of whom live on the streets or small shacks that look shabby. Happy has a very high density, where every corner of this place is crowded with emergency buildings built close together without adequate open space or ventilation. Narrow streets that can only be passed by pedestrians or motorbikes are the main access, flanked by garbage and food waste that often piles up on the streets due to the lack of a waste management system. This slum environment worsens the quality of life, where unpleasant odors, pollution, and noise become part of everyday life. So bad is this area, even the footpaths have turned into piles of garbage. Here, the asphalt road becomes invisible because it has been covered by old, rotten plastic bags, empty packaging, and other types of garbage, which form the path that is passed every day. Most families in Happyland do not have houses with separate rooms or private spaces. Their residences are small rooms that average 9 square meters in size. And in this room, around 10 to 15 people have to share a roof, walls, and floor. This space is everything, where it functions as a place to sleep, kitchen, dining room, and sometimes also a place to work and socialize. At night, the floor, filled with thin mattresses, becomes the only place to rest after a day of surviving out there. In these cramped conditions, each family member in Happyland often has to share a bed, and sometimes between 2 to 4 people share one small mattress. Stacked pillows, mats, and sarongs are used alternately, while children sleep on their parents' laps or slip between any remaining gaps. Thus, every inch of space in this place is a valuable value, and there is no personal space or freedom to move freely. Even here, to change sleeping positions must be done very carefully, so as not to disturb other people's sleep. This narrow place to live is made worse by the unstable construction of the building, which is made of used materials such as wooden planks, zinc, and plastic piles of goods that have no storage space accompanied by poor ventilation, make this place stuffy and crowded, and of course very far from the standard of decent. Generally, these small spaces do not have adequate ventilation, with small windows that may not always open or directly face the neighbor's wall. With so many people living in it, fresh air will be difficult to enter. This is made worse by the smell of the valley and musty air that fills the air, mixed with the smell of food cooked on a small stove in the corner of the same room at night, especially when the hot and humid temperature of Manila adds to the pressure, making those living in it wake up in sweat, feeling suffocated in their own homes. For children and old people, this situation is a heavy blow. Children find it difficult to study and play, confined in a narrow space without the freedom to move. However, this is not the only problem in Happyland. Space constraints are not only a problem inside the house. Outside, narrow streets that are only wide enough for one person to pass and crowded with houses that are close together make access to public toilets and clean water sources a daily struggle. Public toilets are only available within a distance of about 50 meters, meaning they have to share these facilities with many other families. Sometimes long queues are a common sight, where everyone has to wait their turn for this basic need. On the other hand, clean water is a very rare need. Many residents cannot afford to buy bottled water or install clean water pipes. And for bathing or washing, they often rely on heavily polluted river water or canals, which flow slowly among household and industrial waste. The water in this river looks blackish blue due to the industrial and household waste that continues to flow into it without an adequate treatment system. Even so, residents still use this river water for bathing and washing. This often causes skin health problems, infections, and other diseases, which are related to water pollution. In the Happyland area, the concept of comfort is almost non-existent in everyday life. For them, survival is the main priority. Uncertain jobs, food that is not always available, and crowded environments make life in this place a long, tiring struggle. The pungent smell of garbage and dirty ditches become part of everyday life, an aroma that continues to remind that comfort and cleanliness are luxuries that they cannot enjoy. There is no so-called entertainment, other than their togetherness in a small space and their dreams, which are often nothing more than the hope of being able to eat a full meal or sleep more comfortably the next night. In this place, children at a very young age must already know the harshness of life. They are often seen helping their parents scavenge for garbage or looking for leftover food in piles of restaurant leftovers. This food is then processed again into a daily meal, known as pagpag. The term pagpag in Tagalog means to shake or clean, but in slum areas like Happyland, pagpag refers to the practice of collecting leftover food from restaurants, washing it, cooking it again, then eating it. This food usually consists of leftover fried chicken, rice, and other fast food that has been thrown away because it is not sold or has been taken from customers' plates. Pagpag emerged as a result of the extreme poverty experienced by some Filipinos, including in the Happyland area. The high cost of living in the city and the lack of access to stable jobs force many families to look for affordable food, even if they have to pick it up from the trash. For those with very low incomes, pagpag is a practical solution to survive, even though it has quite high risks to health. Usually, scavengers will look for pieces of meat or other side dishes that still look good, even though they may have been mixed with other waste. After being collected, the waste is cleaned and recooked at home or in small stalls that specifically sell pagpag. Usually, pagpag is cooked by refrying or boiling to reduce bacteria and dirt that sticks to it. This processing is not only a practice for personal consumption, because it turns out that pagpag is also sold at a very cheap price in stalls in the slum area, which provides an opportunity for very poor people to get food, even though the quality and cleanliness are far from health standards. Many parents have failed and are desperate to put food on the table for their children, leading some to resort to this horrific act. UNICEF has called the Philippines the global epicenter of online child sexual abuse. And, tragically, even the children's parents are part of the scheme, connecting their children with predators online to make extra money. All this as a last resort for them to simply feed their families in a country where around 95 children die every day from malnutrition. More than 35,000 children under the age of 5 die each year from malnutrition across the Philippines. More than 100,000 young people and adults die from preventable diseases, meaning deaths from disease and malnutrition far outnumber the so-called extrajudicial shootings of people involved in drug practices. Happyland began to be known as a slum decades ago, when many migrants from the provinces entered Manila in search of work in the port area and the surrounding industries. Over time, the area was filled with communities struggling to make ends meet. Most of them built houses from used materials such as wood and zinc. Unsupportive economic and infrastructure conditions caused the area to develop into a settlement with very minimal facilities. Happyland is a real picture of the population crisis in Manila, where the available space is very limited and unsuitable for housing. There is no official data that determines the exact area of Happyland, because this area is an informal settlement without a permit that has developed over time. The word Happyland actually comes from hapilan. In everyday dialect, the word hapilan means a place to dump garbage that smells bad and pungent. This is indeed very appropriate to the conditions. But then the word hapilan evolved into Happyland. Most likely this word change is the result of intermittent English conversations between locals and English-speaking visitors who asked the name of the place. This change was then accepted by consensus, as if to reduce the original meaning, which was less than pleasant, becoming a happy expression that implies happiness in a place where happiness is one of the last things that can be found. Thus, Happyland, a place whose name seems to describe happiness, is a real irony of human struggle against the limitations of space, air, and life that cannot provide luxury. This place is not just a slum area, but a community that continues to survive despite the stifling of their days, testing the limits of their humanity at all times.